my friends. I hope that you are all doing wonderful today. I wanted to jump on and make a recording this morning of some things that have popped up that I thought would be something other people would enjoy processing along with me. Just to introduce myself, for those that are just tuning in that have not been listening to my other podcast, my name is Angie, and I'm the host of From Religion to Woohoo. I also have a book out called Leaf Lessons, When Trauma and Religion Collide, the Process of Spiritual Awakening and Healing. In this book, it has my personal, I share this as my personal journey, but I left a huge amount of my life out of there. I don't know if I will share any more of that in my next book, or I don't know. We'll see. But it does have a lot of my own personal journey in it, things that I went through growing up and then as a teenager and into adulthood. And just a journey of healing that I've had and walking away from a religious mindset into like an abundance and spiritual mindset. And I think it's really important to understand for those going through any kind of deconstruction or trying to find their way of navigating through letting go of an old mindset, how it is not an easy process. Our minds, our brains are so, they work so well that they hold on to things, and it's almost like they're trained to continually go back to what worked prior. And I can't remember the actual the definition of it. It's in my head and I see the word, but I can't get it out of my mouth right now. But there's a actual definition in the medical term of our programmed mind, and it's how our mind works when we have we repeat things. So repetition in our life causes our mind to kind of just go into autopilot. So the way you drive to work, your brain, you don't actually have to think about how to get there. You just do it. But if you were to go to another city where you don't know where you are, or be traveling, you most likely would have a map up or have pre-planned your trip in some way so that you don't get lost. And the interesting thing is you know how this is funny, but it's not, because it's 100% true. But you know how when you're trying to find something, you're driving and you're trying to find an address or a place that you want to go, and you turn the radio down? I mean, come on, we all do that, right? So we turn the radio down so that we can see better. Here's the thing. Our brain actually cannot process both at the same time. Did you know that? That's why we have to turn it down. That's why we have to actually focus on what we're doing. Because if we were focused on the music, we would actually not be able to focus on where we're going. However, in this programmed mindset where, I go jump in my car, I turn my radio real high, or I put a podcast on that I can listen to and just zone out, I automatically get to where I'm going. And you have those moments, I know that I do, where you get to where you're going and then you're like, I don't remember driving here. So it's kind of like that. You can kind of just, your brain just takes over and you just go, you're just there. So these are the two things that I kind of want to talk about today. How our brain is programmed in one way to think, and then coming out of religion, we start to retrain our brain to think in a new way. And this is not an easy task. And I think one of the hardest things is when we are in religion, we're taught to perform. We're taught to live up to a standard. We're taught to put our faith in something outside of ourselves. This masculine God up in the sky that we call Father or He or Him or anything like that. And I know for myself, as I am reprogramming my mind, trying to come out of this religious mindset, like it's an automatic thing when I talk about God or the divine or the source or the highest of energies of love, it's automatic for my brain to want to say He or trust in Him or He, the Father, that's what, it's just really interesting how the way your mind has been programmed is how you automatically go back. And sometimes I don't even realize I say it until after I say it. And what was really interesting is, as I wrote my book, I was very conscious about the way I said God. I actually didn't even want to use the word God in it. I really just wanted to use source or the divine or love energy, because I think putting the label God on it is even like, I feel like it takes this divine energy that is more massive than we can comprehend, and putting it in a little tiny box of like, this is God. And so having to retrain your mind to think in a different way that has been programmed takes repetition and doing something over and over and over. Just people use this example all the time. However, it is true. Like a muscle. If I were to just work out my right arm all the time and never work out my left arm, my right arm would be super muscular. I would be able to do more stuff with it. It would, I would constantly be challenging it to get stronger and bigger. And yet my left arm would just remain weak. I would never be able to move past where it is because I'm not working to do that. And that is what meditation is. So one of the things I really have come to understand, I've been meditating for several years now, and I had, I think it was back in February or March, somewhere around there of this year, 2022, I had decided that I was going to set the goal of meditating every single day for, I think I wanted to hit 100 days. And I was diligent about it. I made sure that I had the time. Some days I would get up and have something to do, and I'd start moving, or I'd sleep in because I was just not feeling good or something. And later in the day I'd be like, oh my gosh, I didn't meditate. And so I would purposely make myself sit down and do something, even if it was just for a few minutes. But what I noticed over time is I automatically knew that it was just a part of who I was. And I hit, I think I'm at 151 days now straight of meditating. And I can't tell you that I will ever stop. I don't have any desire to miss a day now. And it's not even a competition to me anymore. It's just a part of my daily routine. I get up, I meditate, I connect with my spirit, I connect with my guides, I set intentions, I manifest, I send out positive energies, I release negative energies, I raise my vibration. These are all things that just are a part of who I am now, because I've been programming myself to do this every day. But those who are just starting out, is not going to be that easy. It's not going to be just this automatic thing to sit down and shut your mind off and to meditate. Trust me, I can't even do that every day. I've been, 151 days. I don't know. I think I've meditated over 400 days. I don't know how many. I know this app keeps track, but, and there's times I didn't use the app back in the day, but now I use it almost every day, or at least once a day. So, but I think the important thing is to be very kind to yourself in the process of allowing your mind to change and deconstruct. Because what we need to realize is as you deconstruct, you have to reconstruct. You can't just take something away without replacing it. And because the mind will automatically go right back. It's like a freaking rubber band. Like you can pull that out as far as you want, but it's going to go right back into the shape that it was, unless you break it, of course. And that can happen. That can actually happen to our brains. We kind of can become a little psychotic in this human self, But I think, what is important is that in this process, I know that when I was in religion, I was taught, and I share this in my book, and so I encourage you to read my book to get a little bit more insight, but I was taught that it was a virtue to put others before yourself, to love your neighbor, to give, is more blessed to give than it is receive, kind of stuff like that. And I remember I always had a really hard time receiving anything. I had a hard time receiving a gift, receiving anything that anybody wanted to give me. It was like I felt like I was being selfish or not loving by taking something. But what we have to realize, and somebody said this to me, and I thought this was actually really good advice. Somebody said to me one time, when you don't receive, you take away my blessing. And I was like, that's right. Like, because I know when I love to give, I love to give. It's one of my love languages, I guess you would say. I like to give things to people. I am actually moving away from that, to be honest, because I feel like as I retrain my mind, I think some of my giving came out of scarcity and fear of abandonment. And I no longer, there's times this pops up in me because it's still part of me, but I don't really desire to use anything to try to make myself feel better, to try to convince another person to stay in my life. Because, I have come to understand as I heal, as I come away from this religious mindset, that I need to just let people go. If they want to go, they want to go. We literally cannot control another human. We can't control what they think. We can't control how they act. We can't control that. However, society and religion believes that you can. They believe this. And that's why it's a constant battle between the, good and evil is what they would, describe it as. So, and they often say that it is demonic or Satan or the devil that is tempting you to do something that goes against this programming and this will of this masculine God, who is going to judge you harshly and chastise you and tell you all the things you did wrong. And I can tell you, I do not believe that, period. I have come to the understanding that this is not who the divine love is. Love is love. And we humans put so much condition around it that we convince ourselves that it's almost like we compare this love to how we love each other. But what we have to understand is we are in this human body trying to understand how to love the way that this love, loves, basically, without our ego getting in the way. And so, going back to this program mindset where you just automatically do something, this happens in not just like when you're driving to work or you're going somewhere. This is something that is programmed in us, like even from, and I don't think this is like a purposeful thing. Actually it may be in some instances because, I'm always comparing myself to other people and what I've experienced, but you experience something completely different than me, and that is fine. But our lives and our egos, the purpose of our ego is to protect ourselves, or to protect us, protect our body, keep us from evil. And evil can be, I don't even know if I like that word evil, but it's to protect us from harm. And so the ego kind of puts up this shield and convinces our mind that this is, you need to protect yourself from this. And this happens a lot when we are in relationship with other humans. I'm going to go there. It's happening right now with the abortion thing. I think it is, coming from a conservative religious background myself, being in the church, I 100% know what they're telling the church members right now. They're rejoicing. They're being super excited. They're saying that we prayed for this day. We're stopping women from murdering babies. There's one focus within the walls of the church right now, and that is to get their agenda met by stopping women from being able to have this right. And then on the other side, and I'm not trying to be political here, but you have the little liberals, which I understand, and I move more towards this now, where they're fighting against the other side, saying, you're wrong, we're not murdering babies. We have rights. Women have rights. They should be able to choose for their own body. What about this circumstance and this circumstance and this circumstance? And they bring up all these things, and they're absolutely right. In a religious mindset, we think in a scarcity mindset. We don't think of a universal love mindset. We think of a programming of needing to perform. So when they say you're murdering a baby, they actually believe it. They 100% believe that women murder their babies when they have abortions. However, if you take away the actual programming and the performance and the need to be good enough for God, you come into the understanding that every single human, born, unborn, is a spirit. Those unborn babies go directly back into heaven. They don't die because the body is not the spirit. Not a single one of us humans are going to make it out of this world alive in our body. Not a single one of us. My body is going to decay. It will cease to ever exist again. There is no way I can convince this body by anything that I do, by being good enough, by performing, by showing up, by going to church, by praying, by anything. There's nothing that is going to convince this actual body to not die. It is going to die. I hope it's a while from now, but it will happen. Babies that do not make it into the world because of a circumstance do not die either. The human part of this baby no longer ceases to exist, just like our bodies will not cease to exist one day. But the spirit lives on. And I know in religion they don't believe in reincarnation, and they don't believe that, any of that. I can't tell you, because I'm in my human mind right now. And there's, when I meditate, I get out of this human mind, but it's very limited thinking, because I still have the ego that fights against it. And, there are ways to communicate with the spirit. I mean, listen to Esther Hicks, and when she allows Abraham to speak through her. That is a spirit. That is a spirit guide. That is a divine being coming to speak to the humans to try to tell them how to raise their frequency and live in their highest self, understanding that this flesh, this ego, is just a shell and is keeping us from living and being connected to our true divine self. That is what the Spirit is telling us. It is not Esther Hicks, the person. It is the Spirit that works with Esther Hicks. Esther Hicks has a spirit as well. So when we debate about these things, we forget that we're actually all connected in the Spirit, because we are all one with God. We are all created in these divine beings. There is, and this is a religious Bible quote, there is no separation from God. Period. And, as I was, the last 2 days, I've been processing my book being out and what it is that, my own purpose in this life is, as I connect with my consciousness, as I connect with my higher self, with my spirit, with my guides, kind of coming into the understanding of, we each have a divine calling. We each have a purpose. I've come into the understanding a little bit more about how I am called to take something that has been used to push people down and take away their power and bring it back into the language that it was meant to be used. So when I quote Bible verses or I use references that I've found, like verses or Jesus spoke or Buddha spoke or, the Dalai Lama, like all these people have divine spirits in them and they are all in the same place. Buddha is with Jesus. The Dalai Lama is with Jesus. Well, I've heard the Dalai Lama has reincarnated many times, so he may be on Earth right now. Or she, whatever sex it is now. But that's the thing. It's like these teachers that came before us had divine understanding, and they tried to teach us humans to help us get back on track. But we twisted it and changed it, and we manipulated it. We put masculine energy of it, and the masculine became threatened by the feminine and began to try to control, and it's a freaking mess. So I really truly feel that my calling is to help us bring us back to the understanding that we're divine beings connected in the same exact spirit, and that we have these ego bodies that are working against us, that are programmed, that are trying to think in one way, but it keeps going back to the other because that's what we've done over and over and over. But we have to realize our mind literally cannot think two things at once. We think we can. We have convinced ourselves that we can do two things at once. But you will never fully do one thing completely accurate and with your true self if you're doing that. That is why meditation is so important, to calm the mind and retrain it, to let it know that your spirit will lead, to rest like a leaf in a stream and let the universal flow through you, which you will find in my book, by the way. So I think I have passionately shared long enough at this point. I will likely share a little bit more soon, but I wanted to get all that out and just encourage you all. First of all, love yourself. It is okay. Love yourself. That is so important. As you love yourself, you'll be able to love others. Your frequency will raise, your energy, and you will become more connected with your higher self. Again, I am here if you would like any support. I am actually going to be working on a coaching program for a group setting. I am going to try to start manifesting that in the next week or so. And so I'll start sharing that here soon. But I really, really, really have this desire to help you all connect with your higher self and to live out your purpose. And so once I get that together, I will share that. But I would love if you would write a review, share this, give me 5 stars, and and just allow this message to go out, because I really feel like a lot of people need to hear this. And you know what? I know everybody's not going to agree with me, and that's okay. I didn't agree with me either at one point. So, but I wish you all the best day, night, evening, whatever time it is that you listen to this. I would send you all the universal love there is. Namaste.